evening, everyone. This is Nitin Soni, and I welcome you to this another interesting episode of the Author Talk Show. We're going to get started with this session, and you'll be like super excited when I tell you who's the guest today. And it's going to be, one of the best discussions that you will see me having with our guests, because this is going to be on one of my favorite topic: decision-making, happiness, fulfillment, contentment in life, right? All right then. I'm excited, and I'm sure you are excited as well. आज हम क्या करने वाले हैं, and who's going to be the guest who is going to be with me in this talk show? Now, this man is the author of this #1 best-selling book, Follow Your Heart Because Your Mind is Stupid. Now, that is interesting title, right? Now, this man, is a great friend, and he really loves his craft, his art, and the subject on which he's going to be talking about. So, without much ado, what I think I'll let the speaker do most of the talking for today. So, with this note, I wish to welcome none other than Vasudevan to this program. Vasudevan, a very warm welcome to you. If you can hear me, jump in. There you go. Good evening.
Hi, good evening, Nitin. It is an absolute pleasure for me to be in this, and thank you for inviting me for this talk show. I'm really excited, and as you can see me, so I can't wait to start.
Absolutely right. So Vasudevan, thank you so much for joining here today, for giving us your time. We'll be together here for like 45 minutes to 60 minutes. और मैं आपसे पूछूंगा कुछ सीधे सवाल, जो सवाल होंगे around happiness, around decision making, around fulfillment and contentment and whatnot. So are you ready for this, sir?
Absolutely. Waiting to start.
Great. A lot of people have already joined us. Guys, please give me a confirmation in the chat box if you can also see the special guest of the evening and you can clearly hear him as well. Type in yes once again, and you can also type welcome, giving a warm welcome to our special guest, none other than Vasudevan. Vasudevan, right. So, well, I'm sure a lot is going in your life. You have achieved so much and a lot more. So my question to you straight away, I'm sure a lot of people, I know you really well, but a lot of people would like to get into some, details about you, about your life. So if you could please share about your background, your life, and something about your story, please.
Sure. Guys, I don't want to bore you with a lot of details, but I'll just focus on some of the things, those turning points in my life, which led me into this area. Okay, I did my engineering from Pilani donkeys years ago. Okay, and I've been in the corporate world for a huge number of years, and I don't want to share it because that will show my age. So I'm not going to share that. so
right.
Yeah, I started off my career with Tata Motors in Pune, and then I was in the manufacturing. And then I moved to ITC, worked there for a good number of years in various sections, in projects and in the factories. And then I was in the corporate headquarters for some time. I then moved to the Gulf. I was in the Gulf for some years as a plant manager. And then I completely switched my line, right from line function to IT. And I joined SAP Consulting, and I was posted at the SAP headquarters in Waldorf in Germany. And then I moved to SAP America. Then I was, traveling like crazy. Family had started, and then I said, no, enough is enough. I need to drop anchor. And that's when I switched to Accenture. I was with Accenture, and then I decided, no, ab bahut ho gaya. Now the thing is, all through my journey, right? It was a good, fruitful journey. Progress was very good. But एक चीज मुझे always mind में ये थी कि मुझे कुछ अपना करना था. I was not completely in sync with what I was doing. I wanted to do something else, and I wanted to start my own business actually. One of the things that I was very keen to start is on starting my interior design company, because I was fairly good. I'm not trying to brag, but it was pretty good. It used to come naturally to me, and I used to enjoy it. Every house we used to sit and design, draw the sketches and all. I used to love that, and I knew I would do well. But that fear एक था मेरे mind में जो मुझे रोक रही थी. मैं decision नहीं ले पाया. Much as I tried, but no, a lot of all these fears कि क्या होगा? Will it work? Will it not work? Will I be successful? मेरा तो अच्छा job चल रहा है, decent salary चल रही है, why should I risk it? I was feeling very, very frustrated, not about the job, but more about my inability to take that decision. And then finally I took the ठीक है यार, अच्छा है, why upset the apple cart? Let's continue. And the next 7 years I continued there. So what I realized that is this is the same story with at least 90% of the people, that हमें कुछ करना है, हम कर नहीं पाते हैं. Something stops us. And what is that something was what was bothering me. It was that frustration thing, anger about myself that led me into the research. I went deep into the research. I was always interested in the mind, the way the mind works, the brain works, all that. But then in this particular aspect, I started focusing, went through our scriptures, I went through the research papers, studies, I did my own research, I talked with people, and everything started falling in place. I then realized, this is what stopped me. And this is what is stopping. Yeah.
Now, this is interesting. And I quickly want to, bring in the audience and the people who have connected with us. Now, every single one of you who is listening to us right now, how many of you can relate to this? How many of you can relate to this? Like, you want to take a decision and somehow your heart is saying that, go for it, yeah. Do it. Whatever the decision may be. It's not just about quitting your job and starting your business. Kuch bhi ho sakta hai. Like, it could be as simple as saying yes to a potential life partner, right? Right, Vasu?
Yes.
It could just be, right, going for a vacation. It could just be anything. But you know what? You are always in that dilemma कि भाई करूं कि ना करूं यार ये, और decision नहीं ले पाते. And then when you're not able to take decision, you become frustrated. And then when you become frustrated, what happens to your happiness? It goes for a toss. Yes or no? How many of you can relate to this? Type me in the chat box or type yes in the chat box. And I think I can certainly relate to it, Vasu. Like, you know what? We face this difficulty of, first of all, procrastinating, number one. And number two, over this period of procrastination, our happiness and, this happiness goes down and frustration goes up. So you're bang on. I mean, I think a lot of people look at that. A lot of people say we can relate to this. So now, Vasu, what happened then? This is interesting. Go ahead.
Okay. So this, as I said, I went deep into the study of the brain. What happens when we are faced with these decisions, right? And what really stops us? That's when I got the answers. And once that answers came, I was wondering, isko kaise, how do I bring it to the people? Because I know this is something which 90% of the people struggle with. It's not just, as you rightly said, it's not about the job. It applies to everything in our life. Simple thing, आप कोई एक शहर में हो, you got a better opportunity in a different city, but आप नहीं ले पा रहे हो, आप डर रहे हो, you're scared. And what is that? The reason for that, that fear is what is the answer to this whole thing. What is going to help us take those decisions, right? Now, in order to understand this, first thing, we need to understand what is going on in our brain. Okay. And by the way, some of you would have related to the title of my book, Follow Your Heart, Your Brain is Stupid. Now, actually, in one of these seminars, when I was delivering a seminar, one gentleman got up and said, I don't agree with you. How can you call the brain stupid? I said, since you asked this question, you need to understand what I'm going to tell you. So actually, don't take it. And I told him, I said, no, don't take it in the literal sense. Why I'm saying it is stupid, there's a reason behind it. It is not really stupid. Now, the brain is one of the most powerful and developed organs of our body. It's controlling everything in our body. Yet I'm calling it stupid. There must be some reason, right? So
right. So Vasu, I have a question here. I mean, I'm sure. I mean, there's a lot of things that you want to share. But you know what? Before we go ahead, I really want to acknowledge the presence of a lot of people who want to say hi to you. First of all, a lot of people who are saying hi to you, and I want to take names here. So Derek Luke says, hi Vasu, this is Lane and Derek, and a lot of people there saying hi to you, and a lot of people are pretty engaged into this right now. And I'm sure a lot of people want to know as to as to how to get out of this dilemma. लेकिन वासु एक बात बताओ मुझे
Yep.
कि प्रॉब्लम क्या है? I mean what happens if in that phase when we are unable to decide? What happens in that phase? And why is it important for us to understand how to deal with that mindset or how to deal with that situation? Why is it so important? Because if we don't understand this, what happens? I mean, what is happening on the other side if in case we do not understand what we are talking right now? If you could just help us understand it.
Yeah, sure. So in fact, what I want to do is to spend a little time to, and by the way, hi to all the people in the audience who said hi to me. Love to share this with you, and I'm sure you will enjoy it. And also, I want to tell you guys some of the things that I'm going to be sharing in today's session are going to shatter some myths. Okay.
Wow.
It's going to break some absolute misconceptions that we all have. Okay?
Super.
So what I want you to do is keep your mind open. Listen to it. Thereafter, it's your choice whether you want to believe it or not. Okay, is that fair? Okay. So coming to your question, Nitin, let me just quickly tell you about what's happening in the brain. What really happens? Now, our brain is like a storehouse of information. It's collecting billions and billions of information right from the day we are born. Everything that's happening is getting recorded in our brain. Okay. Now, what does the brain do? The brain processes this information and gives it a meaning. Okay. And how does this meaning happen? It's based on the conditioning that we are all going through. Now, from the time we are born, we are getting conditioned from our parents, our siblings, our relatives, our friends, and then we have teachers, religious leaders, political leaders, colleagues, bosses, and then our spouses. Everywhere, the information is getting into our brain. Okay. Now, when we are coming in, our brain is totally empty and it's getting filled with information. Whatever is there in our brain, from where are you getting the information? Is it your own? Was I born with the ability to talk? Was I born with the ability to do some coding? Was I born with the ability to start a publishing company?
All given by the environment, yeah.
Everything has been acquired.
True.
That includes our perceptions, our thoughts, our feelings. Everything is acquired from others. My question to you: whatever these beliefs and perceptions, opinions which are there in our brain, is it our own? No, it is not. It is all bought from other people. Okay, is it right? I don't know. It's neither right nor wrong, but it is somebody else's. Whatever we got is from other people. So therefore, the situation that we are in is that our brain, it's filled with information that is not our own, and we also do not know whether it's true or false. Now we want to take some decisions based on that. What are the chances that the decision is going to be right? This is something which we need to understand.
This is really interesting.
Yep.
This is really interesting, yeah.
Now, let's take a step back. What is the function of the brain? If I ask you a question, Nitin, is our brain designed to make you successful and happy and fulfilled? Is that the primary purpose of your brain?
Not necessarily.
I would say not at all.
Not at all, maybe, yeah.
Not at all. But we always think our brain is there to make us successful, make us happy, give us that fulfillment, the peace. This is none of the brain's responsibility. It doesn't care a shit. Sorry to use that word. It doesn't care a damn about whether you are successful, happy, peaceful. Nothing. The brain's primary job is survival. It's a survival mechanism. It's there to protect you, so that no harm comes to you. Like I give you an analogy. Your brain is like your bodyguard. What's the job of a bodyguard? Bodyguard's job is to make sure that you are protected, nothing happens to you. How does it do? A bodyguard will all the time look for danger. It's because it has to protect you. Okay, so it will keep looking for danger. Even everything is perfectly okay, your brain is all the time looking for danger, and that is the reason that we are all the time in a state of fear. Okay, all the time we are in a state of fear. You may not realize it, but that's what is happening. Your brain is keeping in a state of fear because it's doing its job. Now it's not blame the brain for it, right? Because the brain is very, very powerful, but it can also create havoc in our lives. It can stop you from achieving whatever you want to achieve. If you're not able to manage it properly, if you are not in control, it will take control over your life and it will make you do whatever it wants to do.
So Vasudevan, just to pause you here for a second. I mean, are we saying, just to ensure that we are understanding this,
Yep.
Are we saying that the brain is by default going to, whenever we are faced with a situation, when we have to make a decision, automatically the brain will say, choose the safest one.
Absolutely.
Stick to the safest one. So you want to quit your job, don't do it. Don't do it. Your salary is intact, yeah? And whatever decision, and whenever you face with, in a situation, the brain will always try to tell you, be safe. Be safe. Don't do this. Be safe. And that is why we're not able to take those big decisions that can have may have massive impact in your life, because brain is always choosing to be safe and mediocre. Am I right? Is that what we are saying here?
Absolutely. Now, as I said, it fits in exactly with the analogy of the bodyguard. Would your bodyguard ever want your life? Your bodyguard means your brain. Ever want your life to change? No. Why? Because it wants to be in that known environment. So if your life changes, its life also will change. It will have a bigger problem to manage, right? And that is the reason your brain will not allow you to change anything. Not anything that is going to change your life, it will try and stop it. And how does it stop it?
Wow.
And that's interesting. How does it stop it?
Yeah.
It will create fear in you. It will make you get into an analysis mode. It'll tell you, do this, get this data. Now, how often you would have seen, and this is a question to the audience also, whenever we are stuck into doing a great deal of analysis, invariably, I can guarantee you won't be able to take that decision, because we get into that famous analysis paralysis, right? So much of information we get, and then we are not able to take the day. We get confused, right? Now the brain creates all this. It orchestrates this whole thing. You will think, अरे ये तो natural है यार, क्या problem है? Job तो अच्छा है, क्यों छोड़े? All these you start justifying. That's what I did. So for so many years I did it, right? And that's what most people are doing. Okay, so it will try its best to make sure that you do not do anything. It's simple thing. आपको कहीं you want to get you are getting a good fantastic offer, you want to, but it will make you move to a different country. It will stop you. It will tell you, अरे यार क्यों उधर जाना है? This is a new country. You don't even know the bloody language of that country. Why you want to take it? Your बच्चे का education फिर problem आएगी. What's the point यार? इसमें कौन सा खराब है यार? गुड़गांव में है, बढ़िया जगह है, क्या प्रॉब्लम है, राइट? अपना घर है.
I completely agree.
You get
absolutely.
बाहर और क्यों जाना है? All these things it will play in your mind, and you will not be able to take that decision. And
this is true, friends. How many of you can agree with this? How many of you can relate to this? Type makes sense if what we are talking right now is making sense to you. I mean, what Vasudevan is sharing right now is making sense to you. Come on, put it makes sense in the chat box. And then I'm going to not let him go until and unless he takes us out of this trouble, right? So as in what to do then? Because by default, unless and until we consciously do something about it and understand this mechanism, we won't be able to take probably the right decisions, because by default decision is, as Vasudevan just said, chances are majority of the chances are that it may not be right, may not be good for you. So then what to do is something that we need to learn today in this session from the guest. Type makes sense if this is making sense to you. Vasudevan, I'm all ears because you need to take it out of this trouble now.
Okay, sure. It is no point telling you that this is a problem unless I give you the solution.
Absolutely. And a lot of people saying makes sense, by the way. See, a lot of people saying absolutely makes sense. Like all of it. Like I can take a lot of names. Like Suman says, Wale says, Bhushan, Radha, SN, Srinivasan. All of it absolutely makes sense. And it does, right? So, and all of us like face this every single day. What to do?
Okay. So before I get into the solution part, I've told you about what the brain does.
True.
Okay. Now, let's understand the role of the heart. Okay.
Yeah.
So then I will tell you the best way how to leverage both and make the best of it. Okay. First of all, most of us would be thinking, what's the job of the heart here? सिर्फ pump करना है blood को, उससे ज़्यादा कुछ है क्या? Most of you would say, बस इतना ही तो है, heart. That's all is the job of the heart. Actually, the heart plays a far more important and critical role in our body than just pump blood. And I'm going to share with you some facts which some of you would be knowing, some of them, and some of you may not be aware of some of this. First thing, when the baby is developing in the mother's womb, right? The heart is formed first and it starts beating before the brain is formed.
Wow.
How many of you are aware of it?
I was not.
We all think, the brain is the intelligence center. And I'm going to break this myth for you today. Second, the heart sends much more information to the brain than the brain sends to the heart. It is the heart which tells the brain what to do. And the brain executes. It's a great, this thing to execute. But it's actually the heart which is telling the brain what to do. Okay? Right from secretion of the hormones, the dopamine and all those things. It's the heart which is telling the brain to secrete this and to manage the entire system. Okay? So that's what, it is a signal from the heart which tells the brain what to do. The heart, just like the brain, has got a memory of its own. How many of you knew it? There have been numerous cases where there's been heart transplants. Okay, there have been cases where the heart of a 20-year-old was transplanted to a lady who was about 40-year-old. Now, post the transplant, everything went off well, but what they noticed is that that lady started craving for some foods which she had never ever taken in her life before. कभी खाया नहीं था वो सब, some oriental fruits and all that. She started craving for it. So the doctors were a little amazed. कि भाई क्या है, ये क्या हो रहा है? This lady that never even eaten it, why is she craving for it? When they did the research, they found it was a favorite food of that boy.
Wow.
Okay. So what happens is the heart is carrying those emotional things also of the donor. In fact, there was another case. What had happened is there was a lady who had been murdered. Okay, so the heart was intact. So her heart was transplanted into another person. Post that the person who received that heart started having nightmares. So the doctors were worried, भाई क्या हो क्या रहा है? क्यों nightmare अचानक this transplant operation has gone well. फिर ये nightmares क्यों हो रही है? When they started studying that, and then they started talking to that lady, and she started narrating that murder scene. When they traced back, they found that the heart which she had received was of a person who had been murdered. When this person, she's still getting those memories, those nightmares. And then what happened? When they traced back, they studied, and based on her narration, they caught that murderer, and he was convicted. Imagine, that's the memory that the heart has, and this is nothing. There's been numerous such cases. It's not some one-off case. But what we think, the heart, यार क्या है, pump करता है blood और क्या है, और तो कुछ काम नहीं है उसका, right? Another thing.
There is one more thing, I guess, that heart does, and we all are aware, especially thanks to Bollywood. वो दिल लगाने का भी काम है हार्ट का, वासुदेवन. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Every feeling never comes from the brain, it's always through the heart. Any
Right.
feeling, right?
Right.
The heart, just like the brain, generates electrical and magnetic fields. Okay. The heart generates 100 times stronger electrical field and a 5,000 times stronger magnetic field than the brain. So the heart is far more, and this is all research. Huh? This is based on the research which has been done for almost 25 years. This is a proven fact. Okay. So therefore, the heart is the far more powerful intelligence than the brain. Okay. Now, when it comes to the decision making, you understood the heart and the brain. Okay. Invariably, whenever we want to make a decision, we never even listen to what is coming from the heart. And especially the logical people. Like I am an engineer, so engineer का दिमाग सीधा ही चलता है, very logical, analytical, and that I've realized is one of the biggest problems with most of us.
Same goes with CA, right?
Yes.
All the time.
We only want to use logic.
Absolutely.
Right? But the Steve Jobs of the world, it is not logic. And if you would have, many of you would have heard those his speeches where he says, if you are not doing something that you love, find out what you love and start doing it. He talks about the heart. In one of his, it's a very famous speech of his when he is in the college. He says, he starts off the speech with saying that, this is the farthest that I've reached in my college. He's a college dropout, right? He left college. It didn't appeal to him. And he's going and giving a speech at the passing out ceremony of the college. That's when he says, what we normally do, whenever we want to make a decision, we want to know how is it going to work. We want to know everything about it. And that is the biggest problem. We will never get every step how to do, whether it is starting a business, whatever you want to do, you will never get the answers upfront. Things will open up. Like simple example, if you're in Delhi and you want to go to Chandigarh, will you start driving only if you know each and every signal, every cutting? No, you can't. You keep driving and it'll keep unfolding. But this is where we go wrong. We want to know everything about it before we start, and therefore we never get started. Same thing happens when we use our brain only to take any decision. We get into that analysis mode, and we are not able, because the brain only knows what has happened in the past. Okay, it cannot not envision the future at all. The heart, on the other hand, it doesn't use any logic. उसको भाई ये करना है ना, करो. That's it. Therefore, whenever you and obviously you guys must be still thinking, अरे यार इतना ज्ञान क्यों दे रहे हो? बताओ हमको करना क्या है, right? So let me tell you, whenever you are faced with a challenge, भाई मुझे ये करना है या नहीं करना, whatever that be, it could be you're saying yes or no to your life partner, it could be a simple business or leaving a job, changing a job, whatever that is. Okay, always pay very careful attention to your feeling. Always, if you're feeling good, मुझे this ये decision लेने से the outcome is going to be good for me. If you're getting that feeling, at the same time you may still have some fear, then you will know that you are taking a decision that the heart is telling you.
Excellent.
But if you're not experiencing any of that expansive feeling, any of that ecstatic feeling, nor you're feeling any fear, and you're then taking decision, I'm telling you, you are listening to your brain, because you are not moving out of the comfort zone. Let me explain why. When you are listening to your heart, you're feeling good, as well as you get that feeling of that fear. एक fear होता है, आएगा. 2 reasons. One, the feeling of ecstasy, the feeling of happiness comes because you are getting into an area where that's the freedom. You are doing what you really want to do. You are not bothered, you are not getting bogged down by कैसे करना है. No, you are getting into a thing that मुझे ये करना है, मैं कर रहा हूँ, I am happy. But at the same time, when I told you, there is also some fear रहेगा. Why? Because you don't know how to do it. आपको नहीं पता है कि कैसे करना है. So इसकी वजह से आपको fear आएगा. So what you should do is always understand one thing. Your why is your heart. Your how is your brain. You take the decision with your heart and the brain will figure out कैसे करना है. Leave it to the brain. अब
कोई चॉइस नहीं है.
Exactly. कोई चॉइस नहीं है. अब सारे ये तो आपने डिसीजन ले लिया. अब क्या करना है? अब now I have to execute and execute करेगा. It will figure out the way. Right?
Yeah.
However, you have to strike the right balance. See, I'm not proposing that यार हर कुछ सर दिल से सोचो. There are some things which you need to use your brain. For example, if you are wanting to analyze a company's financial performance or some contract, a legal contract, आपको समझना है, or you are doing some computer coding, ये आपका दिल नहीं कर सकता यार. वो आपको ब्रेन को ही यूज करना है. Use it for that. But whenever it comes to some bigger decisions, pay very very close attention. दिल क्या करिए, करना है नहीं करना है. Don't procrastinate. Just go, jump it, do it. Solution अपने आप निकलेगा. That's been my experience, and that's what helped me take some decisions in life.
That is absolutely incredible, unbelievable, and amazing. I would say, friends. How many of you, and I'm really keen to ask this because if I was in the audience, I would have been jumping on my chair right now. How many of you just loved the insights that you got so far in the session? How many of you are thanking yourself that you joined this session today? And how many of you understand now that's how you need to take the right decisions in your life? How many of you understand it? Type it in the chat box. If the session has been super amazing, fantastic, awesome, whatever it is that you want to make, call it, put it in the chat box because I want to see the energy flowing in, because that is going to be the oxygen for this session for both of us, right? So put it in the chat box and tell me. That is number one. And second thing that I want to tell every single one of you who has connected to this live event is that I'm sure after listening to this, you may also have a lot of questions, right? I have a lot of questions in my mind right now. तो अगर आपके दिमाग में है कोई सवाल, कोई क्वेश्चंस अगर आपके माइंड में आ रहे हैं, I would really encourage you to put your question in the chat box. I'll become your voice and I'll take your question straight to the speaker and I'll let him answer that question, because today you might just get answers to some of the most burning questions, because you may be right now, in that phase, in that zone, in that situation, circumstance wherein you have to take a decision. And you're like, whether I do it or not. And I was reading one of the comments, Vasu, just now, and one person said exactly the same thing. His brain just did not let him, say yes to a job offer from Gulf. He was like, it was a fear, right? So for a couple of years, I just kept on delaying it. And I think I personally can relate to it, Vasu, just to share with you this author talk show that I'm doing right now. And I'm so thankful to my heart because it indeed, I listened to it, right? So it was not a logical decision. It was more from the heart. And if I had not done that, I would have missed this information, man. Look at that. So now I'm looking at the chat box and look at the flow of comments there. Look at that. It says, excellent, right? And Joseph says, Vasu, always an inspiration. An amazing session, says Naveen. I agree, says Sumant. Srinivasan says, without a doubt, amazing. Bhushan says, अच्छा, ये बड़ा इंपॉर्टेंट. तो अब ये सवाल उठ रहा है भूषण का कि चलिए आपने बताया ब्रेन क्या बोलेगा, हार्ट क्या बोलेगा, दोनों एक साथ बोल रहे हैं, तो भाई पहले किसकी सुने? शायद कुछ क्लैरिटी मिसिंग है. वासु, थोड़ा क्लैरिटी दे दो प्लीज.
Sure. See, as I said, the brain and the heart will be talking to you simultaneously. The only thing is the brain, उसका chatter is far more stronger. बहुत loud होता है compared to the heart, okay? And that is the reason most of the time we listen to the brain, because in that loudness of the brain's chatter, what the heart wants to say, it gets submerged. Now, with this information that I have shared with you, You need to pay careful attention कि आपके दिल से क्या हो रहा है. Because till now we were not even bothered. यार brain तो बोल रही है बस चलो यार let's go ahead. I can't do anything about it. Because we never even thought that कुछ अंदर heart भी कुछ बोल रहा है बेचारा, right? Now with this information, what you should always do is, जब भी you are in a dilemma कि करना क्या है, ये करूँ या वो करूँ, इस रोड में जाऊँ या उस रोड में जाऊँ, okay? तब केयरफुली आपके फीलिंग पे ध्यान दीजिए. तो कि ये अगर हुआ तो हाउ गुड यू विल फील, आपको क्या अच्छा लग रहा है, फीलिंग ऑफ हैप्पीनेस, अ फीलिंग ऑफ अचीवमेंट, एक एक्सपेंसिव फीलिंग अगर आपको हो रहा है, देन ब्लाइंडली गो विथ व्हाट योर हार्ट इज सेइंग, एंड 9 out of 10 times it will not be a wrong decision. I can tell you it will be a good right decision. But
I agree with that.
I cannot guarantee you that 10 out of 10 will be the right decision.
It also depends from person to person. I would say the intuition, the feelings that we are talking about.
Yes.
You know how strong these feelings are and how well you are able to read your own feelings, right? That's so much important in this discussion.
Yes.
Right? So it's my feeling, and how am I connected with my heart is also, this connection is also very important, Vasu, when we are discussing this.
Yes.
And I also just now you made a mention of this brain chatter being too much and too loud. I think I was easily able to relate to it, the yesterday's discussion when I was having it with Vineet, who was talking about the loud marketing of the food industry. These people who are selling, so-called fast foods and all of these foods, labeling them as healthy, but they're eventually not. But the chatter is so loud that we are made to believe that it's good for us, and then we go for it, right? Mm-hmm. So rather than buying a mango, we may eventually fall for a slice or something else, right? So too much of marketing, too much of chatter, too loud. I completely agree with that. Now, this was amazing. This is amazing. So Vasu, what we are saying is we have to listen to the heart, right?
Yes.
And hence I would say, and hence the title of the book, Vasu. So, hence the title of the book, Follow Your Heart Because Your Brain is Stupid. And it indeed is, right? Because it's just a bodyguard which is programmed to just safeguard you, right?
Exactly.
And that may not eventually be right for you, but you have to listen to your heart. This is amazing. Vasu, with your permission, I want to take some questions because some people have some questions here, right? So, Vasu, first of all, is there any way to avoid this overpowering of the brain? Shekhar Joshi has asked, is there any way to avoid this overpowering of the brain? Is there any way?
Yes.
Is it probably feeding your heart over a period of time more and more? So that,
there is one technique which I've covered in my book also. It's not my own technique. It's a technique which has been developed by a person called Mel Robbins. And many of you would have heard about the 5-second rule. Okay. What it does is that whenever you want to take a decision and you are confused, you have about 5 to 10 seconds max before which you need to take that decision. Otherwise, your brain will take over. Okay? Because what the brain will start saying is, it will start creating lot of different ifs and buts. Ye ho na, wo hoga, usme ye karne se problem hoga. All that things it will start doing. So you don't have much time. So the 5-second rule, it's a sort of a metacognition which treats the tricks that the brain is trying to play on us. वो क्या करता है कि whenever you are in that dilemma, what you should do, and it can be for simple thing, getting up in the morning, right? आपने decide किया कि मुझे gym जाना है कल से. अब जब when the alarm rings, invariably हमको क्या लगता है, यार कल काफी देर से सोया, यार छोड़ दो ना, कल से चालू कर देंगे. These sort of things will come because again, even here the brain is playing. The brain is saying, क्या है यार, क्या जिम में जाके क्या करना, छोड़ो यार, जिम हो मत जाओ, रहने दो. I'm just giving an example, right?
Analyzing the situation, right? Analyzing it, right?
आपको stop करेगा. At that time, what do you do? There is this technique called the 5-second rule. What you should do is immediately when you are seeing that you are getting lost, this time up, start counting 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. When you are counting 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, when you reach 1, you just move, physically move. And not that आप कुछ कूदना उड़ना पड़ेगा, just do some physical movement. What this does is, it is stopping that pattern of the brain when it's trying to discourage you from taking that decision, right? And it is also distracting you from that. It's a very, very simple. आपको लगेगा बहुत silly है, but actually it's very, very powerful. Try it out for start with some small things, right? Like आपको, when you come back from the office, आपको लगेगा भाई TV on करते हैं ना, let's put on the TV. Do it. Try, do 5 minutes and get out of that habit. If you want to break that habit, it's very useful for breaking some habits also, which we have developed over a period of time. Now, you may ask me, why 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 क्या है? Why not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Right? Will it work? No, it will not work. When you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, there is no stopping. You can keep counting till 10, 15, 100 also. But when you count 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, you have nowhere else to go. And that's the signal for that movement. And the minute you stop it, you are breaking that pattern of your brain when it's trying to stop you. So that's a technique which you can use.
That really makes sense. Vasu, I hope that answers your question there. And Vasu, there's one more interesting question, which I was also thinking about. And I'm like all ears to your answer to this question. Derek Luke says, how do I know? Like, how do I know if it's my heart or if it's my brain that's speaking to me? I mean, you are saying that there would be, both of them would communicate. How do I know which one is the one, the communication that is happening internally? Is it coming from my heart or is it coming from my brain? How do I figure this out? Derek's question, my question too.
Yep. So as I did cover it, though I didn't go deep into it. As I said, it's always both are talking, the brain as well as the heart. Now, you have to analyze in two things. See whether that decision is really something which is going to give you that happiness. You're going to feel good. At the same time, you are feeling एक जरा सा fear है उस पे. You are feeling a bit scared to take the decision, but you know that the outcome of the decision is going to be good. Okay, then you'll know that is coming from your heart. But अगर वो जो भी decision आ रहा है, if it is saying that भाई मत करो यार, what's the point? It's basically telling you that this is not worth it, and you are feeling very comfortable. भाई ठीक है यार, नहीं करना है, which means it's trying to keep you in your comfort zone. It's not telling you to do anything.
Makes sense.
It is definitely your brain which is telling you to do that.
Definitely makes sense. And that is indeed the answer to the question. We did talk about it earlier as well.
Yes.
Now there's one more question, Vasu, which is again, that's again a question which is interesting. I can read it in the chat box. Srinivasan is asking a question. He's saying, what if the heart bites more than it can chew? That is go for it. So heart is telling me it's giving me a strong feeling of taking a decision with like huge, but he's labeling it like more than it can chew. That is something that we need to understand. Answer that, please.
Right. As I said, you have to trust your brain, because your brain will figure out how to handle that.
How to eat it, right? So if you place an elephant right in front of me, and if that is coming from the heart, the brain will figure out how to eat it, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly. And see, let me tell you, these are all the question of the belief systems that we have. Okay, that it is not possible is again coming from our beliefs, what we have been conditioned to believe, which is, as I said, it's all what other people told. And I'm going to give you one example in my case, and I keep telling this to my wife also. My father was dead against stock trading, dead against. And you know why? It's because my grandfather used to dabble in stocks. If it was not in the digital platform, nothing was electronic, everything was manual, right? And what he used to do is to tell that broker, यार वो stock खरीद लेना, and then he'll say, okay, sell it so and so time, and that broker used to cheat him. वो बेचेगा या तो बेच देगा, और नहीं बोलेगा नहीं इसमें लॉस हो गया. And my father used to tell me this. So don't ever go into stock trading. Okay, he used to tell this. अब मेरे दिमाग में भी वही घुसा. मैं until recently I never dabbled in stocks. because it was conditioned in my brain कि नहीं करना है मुझे. Similarly, things like that ये चीज मेरे लिए बहुत बहुत मुश्किल है, मैं नहीं कर पाऊंगा. It's all what? These are all our own beliefs we have brought into our thing. And
absolutely.
So you have to get over that.
But Vasu, there is a problem here, and I really want to ask it on behalf of every single person who is there in the program right now. But why does this thing that we have talked about does not work in the case of marriage? So why does post marriage your brain stops saying that देख तेरा decision था hard, अब तू संभाल? Why does so when we listen to the heart, why does the brain give up? It says अब तू संभाल ना, तूने decision लिया था marriage का, you fell in love.
Yeah, it's washing his hands off, right?
It absolutely does.
Yeah, but see, as I said, once you take the decision, अब brain के हाथ में कुछ नहीं है, वो तो पहले कोशिश करेगी, ये मत करो, वो मत करो, and all that. For example, supposing you want to marry somebody, okay, so, and the person is in some other country. What do you do? You love that person completely. If you start doing analysis, भाई उसका language मुझे नहीं पता है, will my parents accept it? All sorts of things will start telling. You can do your analysis, but analysis all in one side. Other thing is you just love that person. You got to take that decision.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, you can be sitting and justifying why you didn't marry that person and keep thinking about that person all your life and spoil your marriage to the other person.
Absolutely, friends. Wow. So how many of you are now equipped? And because see, all of this will eventually lead to happiness, isn't it, Vasu? Yes. So you'll probably achieve massive things in your life, because as you rightly said, your heart is like 5,000 times more powerful that magnetic electromagnetic waves that we talked about. Yes. So I think how many of you feel that now you are better equipped to take those right decisions that are right for you, and let that brain, which is the bodyguard, handle how to decide how to handle it now? You take the decision, this is your heart, and you know how to do it, like practically with the help of this session. We now know how to actually take those decisions when you are in a dilemma. And we also talked about how to overcome this chatter, so 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 is what you need to do to settle that conflict as well, and to settle your mind as well. Vasudevan, you indeed like Lord Krishna. You just came. We manifested you today, and it was such an amazing session. Personally, such satisfying for me. It was filled with knowledge, because this is going to equip me as a person to take those right decisions, and take those decisions that could be right for me, rather than now getting into this analysis paralysis and this CA thing, always looking at the numbers and taking decisions on the basis of it. May not be right, Vasu. Am I right? Yeah.
In fact, as I said, just to add to when you are talking about happiness, right? Happiness is also a decision that you have to take. The mistake we all do is that we link happiness to something, some events, something should happen, then I'll be happy. See, some of the main reasons that we are not happy is we spend too much time on social media. Okay, what we do in social media, we start looking at other people's life. They portray their lives, what they want to portray, and we think that's all is their life. Everything is tickety-boo in their life. Similarly, news. I have disconnected TV in our house last 3 years now.
Wow.
No TV. We don't watch TV at all. Even in newspaper we stop. If you look at TV or the reality shows, news, what is it showing? Is there anything that is worth learning? It's always negative, because negativity is what sells.
True.
Whether it's whatever be it, whether it's serials, news, everything. Stop it for 1 month and see how things will change, will be different. We always try to live in the past, whether it's good or bad. Don't live in the past. Live in the now. That is where is the real power, real happiness. At the end of the day, it's all the decision that you have to take. Because as I said, our life is a cumulative result of all the decisions that you have taken in the past. It could be 1 year back, it could be 5 years back, it could be 10 years back. And what our life is going to be in the future will be determined by the decision you take today. And if you are able to manage your heart and your brain and leverage the powers of your heart and the brain in the right manner, you'll be able to take the right decisions and create that happiness, whether it's fulfillment, the success, whatever. Obviously, I couldn't get into those areas. It's a huge area, but it will help you, because at the end of the day, you have to take that decision. I will be happy come what may. You got to be selfish about it. Once you do that, everything will fall in place. Whenever you are faced with a situation, it's never the situation which is the problem. It's the reaction, our reaction to that situation, which makes us happy or unhappy.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's that control we have to get. And until you get that, we can keep trying and blaming and complaining. Nothing will change in our lives.
Absolutely, Vasu, bang on. And it was such an enriching discussion that we had with you, right? So it is absolutely breathtaking, I would say. So thank you very much, Vasudevan. I'm sure there are so many more things that you could probably talk about, and I'm so keen to discuss them as well. But unfortunately, जैसे अमिताभ जी कहते हैं कि the time is up. Like it's like this author talk session, right? So भोपू जो बचता है वहां पर exactly कुछ ऐसा ही घड़ी मुझे बता रही है. But Vasudevan, on behalf of this entire community, on behalf of every single person who attended this today, and on behalf of every single person who will watch this video in future, I genuinely want to thank you for sharing your insights with all of us today. Thank you so very much.
Nitin, this was a pleasure. I love this interaction. And if I've been able to give value to the audience, even one or two things which if you guys can implement, feel free. You can always reach out. If you have any questions, anything, feel free to reach out to me. I am always available.
And, so Vasu, in case people want to reach out to you, do you want to share your email ID, or how can people use your social media? How do people reach out to you in case they want to talk to you?
Yeah. I have my email ID which I can share with you. Vasu30@gmail.com.
Vasu3030
yes
at gmail.com. And yes. Is that your age, Vasu? Because you said you worked for like 6 to 7 decades.
Once upon a time, that was my age.
So Vasu30 at gmail.com is his email ID. You can easily find him on social media and follow him, follow his journey, and follow his learnings. Your life is bound to change. Vasu, and of course, I cannot afford not to mention this. Grab a copy of the book, because this is one of the most enriching content that you will find on this topic, right? So go for it. Highly recommended. Vasudevan, once again, thank you very much. It was great connecting with you. Hope to see you again in another such episode as we talk about more on happiness and contentment and fulfillment and decision making. Till then, let people take their right decisions now. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Bye everyone. Thank you very much for connecting today. It was such a pleasure for me to interact with Vasudevan. It was such a pleasure, and what a session it was. And I'm sure you are also as excited as I am. Thank you very much for connecting.